Would you believe that paranoia and super hard drug use would combine well to create some of the world's greatest sci-fi books? This is the crazy life story of Philip K. Dick, one of the masters of sci-fi. He was born in 1928 in Chicago, and he was a twin, but his twin died after 6 weeks, and for the rest of his life, he felt like part of him was dead, that he had lost a part of himself, and that was where the paranoia might have started. In his early 20s, he's writing a ton of short sci-fi stories, selling them to pulpy magazines, but just to get his volume up, he starts taking amphetamines. And that's something a lot of writers were doing at the time in the 50s, taking a lot of drugs to boost their productivity. But that really increased his paranoia. In the mid-60s, he gets in touch with the FBI, and he's basically telling them that he thinks he's found out communist plots, extraterrestrial intelligence, and so on. But the FBI think maybe it's this guy we should be keeping an eye on. He goes in and out of marriages. He gets married 5 times, can't keep a steady job, and eventually he's living in his home, which is basically a commune with mates of his who are all drug addicts and hippies. They're all wearing flowery shirts and taking way too much LSD. At that point, there is a break-in in his house. The house is ransacked, and that confirms maybe his paranoia that he's being watched by an authoritarian government intent on enforcing drug laws. It's around this time that he writes his classic, A Scanner Darkly, which is a look at this futuristic war on drugs. But then he starts going really downhill, and he becomes increasingly paranoid, starts having hallucinations, sees a beam of pink light, which he interprets to be some spiritual communication from an alien life force. He writes the book Valis, which is all about that, but fictionalizes his breakdown somewhat. Around that period in the 70s, he becomes obsessed with the Gnostic Gospels of ancient Christian prophets. He writes an 8,000-page tome called the Exegesis that's like basically a warning sign to anybody, and people were starting to say something seriously wrong with Philip K. Dick. So he's in poor health, poor financial situation, he's living check to check until 1982, when his novella, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, is adapted by Ridley Scott into the sci-fi classic movie Blade Runner. And so at that point, he's kind of at peace because he's thinking his ideas are going to live longer than he is, and he dies. The question is not to know whether Philip K. Dick was paranoid or what or whatever. His big theme was reality real? How did it interplay with spiritual or cosmic dimensions? And that's what permeated his entire work.